I didn't answer the phone right away. I just stood there under the streetlight with Old Z's name glowing on the screen, feeling that familiar cold pressure creep up my spine. The same sensation I'd felt on the last train. Because this time the fear wasn't coming from something chasing me. It was coming from something waiting patiently for me to make a choice. And the worst part was how normal everything felt around me. Cars passing, people laughing somewhere down the street. The world acting like nothing was wrong while my phone kept vibrating softly in my hand. As if it knew I was hesitating, and when I finally declined the call, my chest tightened instead of relaxing, because Old Cat's warning echoed in my head. That ignoring a spirit could be just as dangerous as answering it, especially when that spirit still believed it was alive. And almost immediately a message came through, casual and friendly. Asking if I was busy, asking if I had gotten home safely. Asking if I wanted to grab something to eat near the station like we used to, and that was when the real horror set in. Because the message wasn't threatening, it wasn't strange, it was exactly how Old Z used to talk to me, and for a split second my brain betrayed me by thinking maybe Old Cat was wrong. Maybe the article was wrong, maybe this was all some elaborate misunderstanding. And that thought terrified me more than the idea of a ghost. Because if Old Z was still human, then what kind of person was I becoming by treating him like something monstrous? And that doubt followed me all the way home, clinging to me as I locked the door, checked the windows, and sat on the edge of my bed fully dressed, staring at my phone as more messages arrived. Each one perfectly timed, asking small harmless questions, reminding me of shared memories, details no stranger could fake, like the time we skipped class together or the joke he used to make about night shifts. And the more he sounded like himself, the more my hands shook, because monsters weren't supposed to sound like friends. And yet my instincts screamed that something was wrong, something deeply wrong. And when he sent a photo of the subway platform late at night, empty except for the faint reflection of overhead lights, with the message "You forgot this place," I knew running wasn't enough anymore, because whatever Old Z had become, it still remembered me, still saw me as part of its routine. And the next morning, I went back to Old Cat without hesitation, slamming the door to his shop open and demanding answers, my voice breaking as I showed him the messages, the photo, asking him to swear he was telling the truth. Because if Old Z was really dead, then why did he sound so alive? And Old Cat listened in silence, his expression heavier than I'd ever seen it, before telling me something that made my stomach drop. That not all spirits realized they were dead, that some of them continued walking the paths they knew, repeating habits, conversations, entire lives. Because acknowledging death meant facing the moment they lost everything, and Old Z, according to him, was trapped in that state, a soul anchored by routine, by the last train, by the belief that as long as he kept working, kept guiding people, nothing had truly ended. And Big Yellow added that this was the most dangerous kind of haunting. Because a ghost like that didn't act out of hatred, it acted out of confusion. And confusion turned to resentment when challenged, and when I asked if the bloody handprint on my back meant Old Z had marked me. Old Cat shook his head and said it was worse, that the mark meant I had been acknowledged by the system of the last train itself, noticed by multiple entities, and that Old Z was only one of them. Which meant even if I avoided him, others might come, drawn by the same opening. And that was when the impossible choice became clear, because avoiding Old Z might keep him calm, but it wouldn't stop the train, and confronting him might sever his attachment to me, but it could also trigger his realization of death. Something Old Cat described in chilling detail as the moment when a spirit's entire false reality collapses, often violently. And when I asked which choice would keep me alive, neither of them answered immediately, and that silence told me everything. Because survival was no longer guaranteed, not after stepping off the last train, not after being marked, and that night I lay awake staring at the ceiling while my phone buzzed again and again. Calls I didn't answer, messages I didn't open, my mind replaying imagined outcomes. What would happen if I picked up and heard his voice asking where I was? What would happen if I met him and saw his face up close, whether he would look normal or wrong in some subtle way? And the most terrifying thought of all, what if I was wrong? What if Old Z was still human and I was the one losing my grip on reality? Turning a living friend into a monster because I was too afraid to face the truth. And by the time dawn came, I realized that the real curse of the last train wasn't the ghosts, or the blood, or the darkness underground. It was the way it forced you to doubt yourself, to question your instincts, to wonder whether the line between human and ghost had ever been as clear as you believed. And when my phone rang again just before sunrise, old Z's name lighting up the screen one last time, I understood that no matter what I chose next, something irreversible was going to happen, because in the world of The Last Train, hesitation wasn't neutral, it was an invitation. And whatever was waiting on the other end of that call had already decided that our story wasn't finished.